2025 was a big year for me, and I did a lot of big decisions, and I knew that those big decisions might come in 2025, but they actually came to fruition this year. Those are great. They've worked out really well so far, and I'm really happy I made those big decisions. It was also like a meh year in some ways, especially around the quarter and kind of what I was expecting for all of it in 2025. I dreamed a little maybe too big, or maybe I was trying to do too much. That might be a story of 2025 in general for me. But what I want to do is go into 2025, what I was expecting, what actually happened, and then talk about 2026 because I think 2026 is just going to build on a lot of these big decisions that I made in 2025 and a lot of the experiments that I was running in 2025 as well. So let's jump in. I had some big goals for the quarter. And the quarter was have been really focused on the same mission: how bootstrap companies go from 0 to 250K in annual revenue. And I thought really, especially I had done a dozen deep dives or so in 2024, and they were working really well. I've gotten a lot of good feedback. I've continued to get a lot of good feedback about them. So thank you for all that feedback if you have sent them to me. If you haven't, I'd love your thoughts on all of that. But anyways, I was really hopeful that like I could get to 10,000 YouTube subscribers and get to 10,000 newsletter subscribers too. And at the time, those are pretty big goals, but I thought like things are growing, things are going. I think my hope was that like at least one of these deep dives would really start really taking off, especially on YouTube. And then that would kind of just create this like, snowball effect. And none of them have really taken off in like a view standpoint or things like that on YouTube, especially. And it also didn't help that like about midway through 2025, I just like stopped posting on YouTube. I just did text written deep dives. And a lot of that was because I was making some big decisions. But more on that in just a little bit. And basically, as you can see is on the screen, I had about 3,400 YouTube subscribers starting the year, ended with 3,900, which is pretty solid for someone who never really posted for 6 months. And that's pretty impressive. I think that's pretty good that it's still growing like that. Newsletter, I was actually pretty happy with it. And I ran a few experiments with it. Like I went from 849 to over 1,200. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, links in the description below. And that's been really cool to see that grow. And I actually feel like I've gotten replies, I've gotten poll responses. Like it's been really cool to see the newsletter actually like doing things like for the longest time. It hasn't really like, I know people are reading it, I know people are seeing it, but like they wouldn't get responses. I wouldn't get anything. And by the end of the year, I was definitely getting responses and it was definitely hitting home for people, which is really cool to see. So yes, I didn't get to 10,000 subscribers on either of these, but I feel like the traction was still good enough, especially as I kind of pivoted throughout the year. Now, for the deep dives, right, I love doing these deep dives. They're super fun. I get to talk to some amazing founders who've bootstrapped from 0 to 250K in annual revenue, hear their stories, here's how they actually did it, see the behind the scenes, a lot of work. And I've gotten to talk to some really cool people. And my goal was for last year was to do every other week. And so that would result in 26 deep dives. And last year I did 16 of them. And that actually feels pretty solid, especially given the pivot. Most of them I did as written deep dives. And so they have like the video interview clips in them, but they don't actually have like the full blown like YouTube video clips where I was like, deep diving a little bit. I do like show parts of the interview, things like that. Those are really cool to create. I think they're really good pieces, but I think the issue is that they're just a big lift for me. And for someone who has a full-time job, the quarter is not the full-time job at the moment. And so it's a really big commitment for me to do these full videos and then do the written piece of it. So I just couldn't get it done. And I was really wanting to make sure I didn't burn out, because if I burn out, then no one's happy. Like I'm not happy. You're all not happy. No one's happy with me if I do that. And so I've been really focused on like not burning out, but also keeping the things going, because I do want the quarter to work out. And I have a few different things that I'm thinking about for 2026 too, but more on that in a second. But then my last goal for 2025 was to really turn on the revenue, at least start the revenue chain. And I didn't really do that. I mostly just kind of continued the affiliate revenue, but the affiliate revenue is still up. It went up to $5,000 in annual in revenue just through affiliate links, which for someone who doesn't have a huge audience by any means, like 5K through affiliate links feels really, really good. And basically it's paid off like for the software I use, all those kind of things. Like it's just pretty much helps this thing kind of run sustainably, and that I'm not actually like I don't have to pay for the script. I don't have to pay for the tools that I use and things like that on a day-to-day basis, which is really stinking cool. Okay, here's how I was thinking about it. And one was building a really great lead magnet, because what I was noticing is like I wanted something that I could like use as like a lead magnet of for everyone to come to the newsletter, And it was also a valuable resource for all of you too. And that's what came through the Bootstrap report. And the Bootstrap report, I think, has gotten a lot of, I think it's been helpful for all of you. It's been something I can talk about all the time. I last year I got to talk to HubSpot for startups in Europe, which was really, really cool because of it. I got to present to Midwest House virtually. So I've been able to use this as like a piece to kind of show off to people. And I think it's been really helpful and it's gained a lot of subscribers too from it. Most of the subscribers in 2025, they came from this, people downloading this. So I do think it's a good, really good report. I've really loved it. I love talking about it. It was really cool to put together because I think I learned a lot of insights just building it. And I think it was worth doing. I think my ultimate strategy of like it's something I can talk about, I can interview about it. It builds, it gives me a really good evergreen content piece. And I think that all that's true. And I got that done. I got that one done. The piece I didn't really get done was this concept of borrowing audiences. So I learned originally in 2024 from Brian Harris in the Growth and Reverse Pro community about this concept of borrowing audiences. So you basically do newsletter swaps, you do get on interviews, all these kind of things. And that is continuing. I continue to see that strategy work in 2025 with others. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to go more and more into that. The issue is that I just ran out of time. And I think it's because I was doing the Bootstrap report, I was doing the deep dives, I was doing a full-time job. I was starting to make these big decisions. And that all was just taking enough time. So I would kind of do it on the side. I did a few newsletter swaps. I got some good, good subscribers through that. You might even be watching because of that. And that worked out okay. But I definitely didn't put a full effort into it. And if I did, I think maybe we gotten closer to that 10,000 on both platforms. I think it's still a really great strategy, but for right now, it's not really a priority. And the third thing was events. I wanted to do in-person events, and I only did one workshop in person. And I love doing events. I love all those things. But if I was in person, I was at a conference meeting people. I was just kind of hanging out, learning a bunch of stuff, and just trying to figure out what the heck was the quarter and what was maybe my next moves. So 2025, here's kind of like the photos of 2025. I got to meet Samir from Colin and Samir. Colin and Samir, if you don't know them, they do YouTube content on YouTube. They've done really incredible stories on like how YouTube works. I've learned a ton about YouTube just through them. And they're better. They're even better in person. They say don't meet your heroes. They're pretty freaking great in person. They waited to answer every single person's question afterwards, and I was so impressed by them, blown away by them in person. If you don't know Colin and Samir, you should. Got to go to Crafting Commerce, one of my favorite places for kit and Crafting Commerce in Boise, Idaho, of all places, and it's great. Also got to be when I was at South by, I got to see Marquez Brownlee and be the second row for his live podcast. So a lot of really cool stuff. Got to see a lot of good people, a lot of good friends, and just keep building relationships. But overall, I just got to see a lot of really good friends, build a lot of good relationships, and they've been really helpful for me, kind of making all these different experiments and trying to make the big decisions all throughout the year. So that was great. But one of the experiments I ran in 2025 was this one. And so I mentioned, right, I went away from YouTube and doing that content because I just didn't have the time to really do all the effort that comes with editing. And I'm more focused on LinkedIn because I knew I could pump out LinkedIn content way easier, especially I was more focused on written content. So from August 4th to December 12th, I posted on LinkedIn every single workday. It was a ton of posts, and the effort wasn't actually that bad. Like I could crank out 10 posts within like a day that I thought were solid posts, were worthwhile for people to check out, that were knowledgeable, they were good collaborations, all that kind of stuff. And like, as you can see, like impressions weren't bad. Like it's still way up. It's over 150,000 impressions, reached almost 41,000 people, which is pretty wild to me that all my posts did that. But in the grand scheme, it didn't do as much as I thought it might. So here's my subscriber chart from this period for my newsletter. So it started at around 1,200 and we ended at 1,274. So it added people, and I got to, and definitely there's even this deep dive's coming and people subscribe to that. And so there's definitely some methods of getting subscribers from LinkedIn and, subscribing. I didn't do all of those, but I did play around with them and they do work. But it still wasn't like the growth that I think I was hoping for. LinkedIn still very much feels like it's bound to your network quite a bit. And my network, I wanted to get outside my network. I wanted to do that. And so that's why and also I was just a little bit I was burning out a little bit at the end of December. So that's also part of my decision just to stop in December 12th. But my experiment was to do it at least for 90 days, see what it feels like, see if it actually does anything. And it does do something. But it wasn't my like. It didn't feel. The other thing, it just didn't feel like I was actually being a creator. It just felt like I was just like posting, 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 posting. And I wanted to have pieces that what I like about YouTube and more like the newsletter is that they're more evergreen. They last kind of forever, right? Like on YouTube, right? I grew over 500 subscribers, and I didn't really post like all year, and so they're more evergreen. They last more longer, and that for me feels way more like a better use of my time is to create content that kind of lives on and builds more of a library of content versus LinkedIn, where it's like you post and within a month it's already dead. Like no one's gonna see that ever again after like 30 days. So LinkedIn's getting better about more evergreen content, but for the most part, like I don't think it's ever going to be there, and it probably shouldn't be. That's okay. But through all these different content pieces and experiments I was kept playing around with, one of the decisions that I kept thinking about constantly, probably for the last like 18 months, was is it time to leave my full time role at Yale as the lead for student entrepreneurship and get back to the Midwest where I could be around more community, more friends and family, and be a little bit closer because I'm originally from Michigan. I was in Connecticut for 5 years, and I had originally signed up to be at Yale for just 2 years, and so I knew last year was like, okay, we're way closer to the end of my time at Yale than the beginning. And in June, I made a decision like it's time to start looking to get back to the Midwest, and thankfully, it kind of worked out perfectly because in August, I made the decision to then go sign up to lead a brand new entrepreneurship center back in a city where I never felt like I was going to be back. And that was Grand Rapids, Michigan with Bamboo. And if you don't know Bamboo, that's okay. Bamboo is a co-working and entrepreneurship center, entrepreneurship community across the state of Michigan. And historically, Bamboo has only been on the east side of the state in the Detroit area. They've had locations in Detroit, Ann Arbor, Royal Oak, and I've always super admired their spaces, their community. It's always like the thing that I've always really admired, like from someone who was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, previous to being in Connecticut. I was like, can Bamboo come to Grand Rapids? And in May, I actually had seen Amanda. I've done a deep dive with Amanda. I saw it when I recorded her episode. That was a week after they had acquired their space in Grand Rapids. And at the time, admittedly, I wasn't even thinking about potentially even being on the Bamboo team. There was no conversations of it. There was nothing. I wasn't even thinking about coming back at the time. And I had we met to do the interview. We did the whole conversation and got to learn the strategy of Bamboo, how it built, all this kind of stuff. And then basically over the summer, we just started the conversation of me leading the new center that they just bought in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is a 40,000 square foot space in downtown Grand Rapids. And I never thought I'd be back in Grand Rapids, but here we are. And so far, it's been great. It's a lot of learning curve. There's a lot of new things. And launching a new space is always a ton of like moving pieces. There's still like things you're like, oh, that should be done already. This should be a thing. We're learning a brand new team. There's all these new community members, all these different things. There's so much going on, but it's been so worth it. And the nice thing that I really like about this is like it integrates really beautifully, especially with my work as a quarter. I think it's way more aligned. In a lot of ways, I get to be around friends and family, but I also now have a space that I can do stuff in, which is really, really cool. Like I could do stuff at Yale, but not like this. With all these different moves, these big decisions getting made, what does that mean for 2026? And I think it means a few things. And one of the things it means is I want to shift instead of being bootstrapped to being revenue first. Now, why make that shift? Because one of the things that I was realizing last year is that businesses, once they get past 250K in annual revenue, especially past a $1 million in annual revenue, if they decide to go that far, is bootstraps a really weird thing like to define because you could get like investors to be just like kind of buying equity, so the community kind of owns it. You could do like kind of the equity crowdfunding model. You could do where it's like kind of like Kit, where they have like their customers buying stock from their employees, so that way their customers kind of feel like they have ownership of it. So the bootstrap model, like Kit, I would say is still a bootstrap company, but others might say like no, they're not. They've done like every 2 years, like creators are actually buying into Kit. So it's a weird to me, like the word bootstrapped and saying it's all that. I think once it gets past 250K is kind of weird. It's not a clean definition. And I don't love it. And I think that what I realized that like it's just not a great term. It's not a great term because it means different things to different people. And if you're brand new to entrepreneurship, bootstrap means nothing to you. Like it means like you're like, what the heck is that? So I'm shifting. The mission's still the same. The mission is still the same. Don't raise money until you're past 250K in annual revenue, or like, don't even think about it. The mission, at least the wording, is going to be from to go the revenue first from 0 to 250K in annual revenue. And if you decide to go raise money after that, so be it. That's great if you decide to do it, because I think, right, you have more leverage. You understand how your business actually works. You understand if it's actually venture backable. It's like, kudos to you if you decide to do that. I don't think most founders, once they get past 250K, are going to raise funds. That's one of my like maybe theses or theories. I actually think most founders like will do that and be like, we're actually good. We'll just keep going. And I think that's way healthier. So the mission still is saying to build high impact, really good companies, and that the founders have the leverage, they have the ownership, and they're community driven. Not actually community driven, but they're community, like they can create those ripple effects to help build really strong communities and help people go, to help kind of change their families' lives, change their own lives, especially economically. And that is the point of the quarter, is to really help people build really good businesses that really help kind of raise the floor for people, especially economically. And so that's why we're going to be shifting. Instead of being bootstrapped, we're going to be shifting to being revenue first from 0 to 250K in annual revenue. Now, there's also a few other big shifts, and I'm breaking them into kind of two parts of the year. The first half of the year, what I want to launch is local chapters for in-person community. And so what that means, there's not going to be as much new content from me digitally online. I'm hoping to do at least one piece, a deep dive, a new piece of content, a new bootstrap report this year. But I'm going to probably post a new big piece once a month, at least until probably June. And so you'll see less new content from me. I'll still do the newsletter. I'll still be posting things like that. But it's going to be less kind of the big pieces this year, because I really want to focus on getting people in person, because I think that's what we're all craving, is like really good in-person community. And just being like truthful, I think it's more reality instead of being just online. What I'm seeing in person being, I'm 5 days in person with Bamboo. What's happening, I think, in person can be quite a bit different what's happening online. And there's a lot of really amazing businesses that you actually don't even understand, like you don't even see online. And I think that's the part that like I want to help like raise awareness of, and create more of like, hey, there's actually more to happen in person, and being a community in person is actually way better than being online. Not to say there's not value in line. There is online. There's definitely like you be able to connect cities and global things, and like there's so many different things you can do online. But I think there's even more magic in person. And so we're going to be launching in Q1 and Q2, especially in Q1 in Bamboo Grand Rapids, where I lead, but we'll be partnering with Bamboo on it, is doing local chapter networks for in-person communities. And how they're going to work is every Thursday morning, people can come to Bamboo Grand Rapids at 7:30 in the morning. They can be there, and we'll put everyone in groups of 3 to 5 people just to walk through your issues, walk through the challenges you're facing. How do I grow? How do I do X, Y, Z? Because I think there's so much power in just getting founders in the same room, because that way they don't feel alone, but they also can solve things, I think, way faster, because someone just right next to them could be like, oh, I solved that like 2 months ago, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to start with Grand Rapids because that's where I'm at. But my goal is to build chapters of that all across the country and potentially even the world as we keep going. My goal is to get 3 chapters by the end of the year. So that way we have a full a network all across the country and even maybe across the world. But then with that, after that, right, how do you actually connect all of that and make this actually financially sustainable, is to actually launch a paid online community platform that kind of connects all these different chapters together, be affordable, all those kind of things. There'll be different tiers. But I want to launch that to help connect all these different chapters, all these different communities online, that we can do a mentor network. We can all support you kind of more in depth on things too, as even if they're not a Thursday morning. And that's what I want to launch in Q3 and Q4. So it's kind of staged in 2 different areas. So that is the broad overarching plan for 2026. And it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to be a little more me being quiet online, but I'll still post a newsletter. I'll definitely post on LinkedIn what's happening. So if you're looking to follow me, go on the newsletter, follow me on LinkedIn. Less YouTube content again this year, but I think it's building and building to be the right thing versus like, oh, me just posting content consistently and just like hoping it all works. That is, I think, it hasn't been my best plan. So I'm going back to kind of my roots, my grassroots kind of avenue of building community and ecosystems and doing it in person. And I've been really thankful that I like being back in the Midwest, being at Bamboo full time. I think it builds a really good just platform for me to help build on, help build Bamboo, help build the ecosystem in Michigan, and just kind of help build really good, impactful businesses. That's the goal. Now, if you're in Grand Rapids and you're like, I want to be part of this, Go sign up. I'll put the link to the quarter mornings, 7:30 in the morning on Thursdays, at least to start to see how it goes. Come sign up, come hang out. They're totally free. We'll have coffee, we'll have a little bit of snacks. Come hang out, meet with other founders who are trying to be revenue first and go from 0 to 250K in annual revenue.